Ibogaine is isolated from the root of this plant, and in the background you have Jean-Paul Gassita, who is the leading expert on ibogaine in Gabon, the country in which ibogaine grows. It belongs to the family Apocynaceae. This is important. This is the family to which the most useful, the largest number of plants that have produced medically useful alkaloids belong in this plant family. Ibogaine occurs in the highest concentration in the root bark, where it is 1 to 5% of the dry weight. Again, this is something that the plant is paying a large energetic price for. It must be important to the plant to have ibogaine in the root bark. It must be serving some kind of function, and that function it represents is undoubtedly mediated by an interaction with a protein, and so we have those sites, those sections of proteins, something widely distributed through the plant and animal kingdom, again, something evolutionarily ancient. This is Howard Lotzoff. Who we remember fondly. He passed away earlier this year. The hallucinogen, the classical hallucinogen community has a bicycle day, and that was the day that Albert Hofmann serendipitously discovered LSD. Well, in 1962, and I asked Howard about this, and he couldn't narrow down the exact day. It was June in 1962. A heroin-dependent lay drug experimenter, namely Howard, at 19 years old, serendipitously experienced the resolution of withdrawal following the use of ibogaine. As far as we know, this is the first opioid detoxification done with ibogaine, and Howard was the person who experienced it, and like a good scientist, he observed the effect that was stumbled upon serendipitously, and this is the path of scientific discovery in so many cases. Ibogaine has a rather colorful historiography, and that includes its use by countercultural, in countercultural settings almost from the very onset. Actually, from the very onset, Howard Lotzoff's community consisted of lay drug experimenters, and here we have a symbol that was used by an Amsterdam squatter community that was one of the first clusters of individuals using ibogaine for opioid detoxification. And as you can see, this is an individual dressed in sort of a 80s punk regalia, injecting. He doesn't look very happy. So this is the symbol of, that emerged from a 1980s squatter scene in which ibogaine was being used. One of the participants in this scene, a very important person as far as European Union drug policy is concerned, was Nico Adrians. Nico was a harm reduction activist, an innovator. He was the leader in establishing a number of conventions of harm reduction, including the establishment of the Junkie Bond, the Drug Users Union. Drug users unions are with us today, and in some European Union countries, they have a significant impact on drug policy. The Junkie Bund influenced Dutch drug policy towards adopting the harm reduction model, and the Dutch have more or less led the way in this. And it initiated the first needle exchange in Rotterdam in 1981. The first needle exchange. This was not for HIV. This was for hepatitis B. At this point, HIV was just beginning to develop as an epidemic and hadn't really reached the drug user community in Europe at that point. So these are significant innovations, and Nico Adrians himself was treated with ibogaine and was a participant in a social network in which ibogaine was being used. This is another iconic image from the ibogaine subculture. This is by a Dutch artist who classically trained in figurative art, and this is a triptych denoting some images related to ibogaine, the spirit resident within heroin, the person holding the ibogaine root. This ambiguous is this resurrection or death transitional image, and this sort of motif is, as we're going to see as well, the transition between the living and dead. The theme of resurrection and change, of transition, is very important in terms of the sacred culture, the sacramental culture that exists around Ibogaine. This is just a closer look at the panel. In the shamanic treatment system of beliefs, there is a spirit resident within drugs. This is a depiction of the spirit that is resident within heroin.